Welcome to hbrv Lifestyle, the podcast. I am the host of Honey Badger, here to give it to you straight and transparent about the RV business. Today we are talking about interest rates. That's the whole episode. It's going to take me a long time to get through all the garbage that has been put out there by the mainstream media. So what I'm going to do today is I am going to go over what Mr. Jerome Powell really said. Because here's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid because media put out there that they're going to lower interest rates 3 times next year, and there was no context behind it. My fear is you folks are going to miss out on a big opportunity next year to buy an RV at a heavily discounted price because you believe interest rates are going to go down and you're going to wait. So I want you to have all the information. So if you decide to buy or you decide to wait, you have the entire story. Okay? So first of all, Powell never said there was a guarantee that he was going to lower interest rates next year. So I'm going to play a clip that is off of YouTube. That's 4 minutes and 52 seconds into his speech he gave. So listen to this.
It erodes purchasing power, especially for those least able to meet the higher costs of essentials like food, housing, and transportation. We're highly attentive to the risks that high inflation poses to both sides of our mandate, and we are strongly committed to returning inflation to our 2% objective. As I noted earlier, since early last year, we have raised our policy rate by 5.25 percentage points, and we have decreased our securities holdings by more than $1 trillion. Our restrictive stance of monetary policy is putting downward pressure on economic activity and inflation. The committee decided at today's meeting to maintain the target range for the federal funds rate at 5.25 to 5.5%, and to continue the process of significantly reducing our securities holdings. While we believe that our policy rate is likely at or near its peak for this tightening cycle, the economy has surprised forecasters in many ways since the pandemic, and ongoing progress toward our 2% inflation objective is not assured. We are prepared to tighten policy further if appropriate. We're committed to achieving a stance of monetary policy that is sufficiently restrictive to bring inflation sustainably down to 2% over time, and to keeping policy restrictive until we're confident that inflation is on a path to that objective.
Okay, so what he just said there was it all depends on inflation. I want to make that clear. Jerome Powell never guaranteed nobody interest rates were going to come down. He stated right there, you heard it, broad daylight. If they do not hit their target, they will tighten money further. What that means, guys, is they are prepared to raise interest rates again. They're not doing it right now, but just based off of that information right there, that was a 3-minute clip, not a 30-second clip. That was a 3-minute clip of Jerome Powell on December 13th, 2023, telling us, the United States of America, that if 2% inflation doesn't hit, if it stays sticky, they're going to raise interest rates again. That's what tightening means. It doesn't mean, we just are going to randomly decide to lower interest rates even though we didn't hit our target goal because it's an election year. So I want you to be aware of this because this can become a major problem. Because let's just, heaven forbid, let's say inflation stays at 3%, 3.6% next year. They're not going to lower interest rates. Powell even said that if you listen to him carefully, he said plain and simple that food, energy, and housing prices are still too high. This is the reason why they're not lowering the rate yet, and that there is no guarantee that the interest rate will come down. So let's listen to this a little bit further. I want you to get some more out of this.
In our SEP, FOMC participants wrote down their individual assessments of an appropriate path for the federal funds rate based on what each participant judges to be the most likely scenario going forward. While participants do not view it as likely to be appropriate to raise interest rates further, neither do they want to take the possibility off the table. If the economy evolves as projected, the median participant projects that the appropriate level of the federal funds rate will be 4.6% at the end of 2024, 3.6% at the end of 2025, and 2.9% at the end of 2026, still above the median longer-term rate. These projections are not a committee decision or plan. If the economy does not evolve as projected, the path of policy will adjust as appropriate to foster our maximum employment and price stability goals.
Okay, so once again, excuse my language, because I know I'm going to get knocked on YouTube and Spotify and all that stuff. Every media member from ABC, CNN, MSNBC is full of fucking shit when they say they're going to lower the interest rate 3 times next year. It is a projection. If inflation comes down, then they will lower the rate down to 4.6 at the end of next year. He said they are prepared to raise the interest rates. Someone wake the media the fuck up and stop lying to people. This is our issue. Now, all of you folks that have been waiting for a house purchase, waiting for a boat purchase, maybe you're waiting because interest rates are too high in your mind. And the media is lying to you, and you're probably getting, oh my God, they said their interest rates are coming down. ABC promised, MSNBC promised. They said that Powell's going to lower the rate 3 times next year. We're going to be able to buy that house. I have now played 5 minutes of his speech, and not one time in 5 minutes did he guarantee anything except that they are prepared to tighten policy. They are prepared to raise interest rates if needed. And if the economy goes the way it's supposed to, then they can lower the rate down to 4.6 at the end of 2024. The only guarantee that he really made is as of today, as of yesterday, December 13th, his only promise to the American people is that they are not raising the rate. That's it. That's everything he said. He didn't say anything else.
In light of the uncertainties and risks and how far we have come, the committee is proceeding carefully. We will continue to make our decisions meeting by meeting based on the totality of the incoming data and their implications for the outlook for economic activity and inflation, as well as the balance of risks.
Once again, it will be meeting to meeting. It will be a slow, steady decision. Nowhere in the first 7 minutes and 30 seconds of that stand-up guy who's just a direct machine, nowhere in that entire first 7.5 minutes did he even come close to saying they're going to lower the rate 3 freaking times next year. He never said it. God, I'm tired of the mainstream media. Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, they're just so full of shit. It's not even funny. And to tell you, the American people, a bunch of horse manure it's outrageous. Yes, they can project. Projection. I project that I'm going to be a millionaire in 2 years. Come on, man. I'm so tired of this bullshit. It's frustrating. I don't cuss on this podcast. I try to keep it clean. But this is just like, I can't stand it. Today, I got my finance manager emailed 37 people that he talked to in the last 3 months, and every one of them said, well, Powell said we're lowering rates next year. So we're going to wait until the rates come down. Really? Did you listen to the conference call? I finally got one of them on the phone, and I go get off because he's a Fox News guy. I said, get off Fox News for a second. He goes, okay. And go on YouTube and go pull up his 45-minute talk, and then call me back and tell me at what point did he guarantee he's lowering rates next year. He called me back 15 minutes later. He goes, holy crap, dude, they didn't say anything about that in the first 15 minutes. He said they were asked how it would happen if everything went according to the projections. I go, yeah. Let's listen to some more.
In determining the extent of any additional policy firming that may be appropriate to return inflation to 2% over time, the committee will take into account the cumulative tightening of monetary policy, the lags with which monetary policy affects economic activity and inflation, and economic and financial developments. We remain committed to bringing inflation back down to our 2% goal and to keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored. Restoring price stability is essential to set the stage for achieving maximum employment and stable prices over the longer run. To conclude, we understand that our actions affect communities, families, and businesses across the country. Everything we do is in service to our public mission. We at the Fed will do everything we can to achieve our maximum employment and price stability goals. Thank you. I look forward to your questions.
Not one time in his first 8.5 minutes did he ever say he was going to guarantee lower interest rates. So this is where questioning comes into play. Now, you guys have already seen all the clips of the questions. I don't need to repeat those. But I just want to make sure that you guys understand that in this report, okay, in this report from the Fed Reserve Chair, the Fed Reserve, it's just like college, let's go back. It's just like college football playoff. There is a committee that talks about this stuff. Now, even though college football playoff is a little different, it's the same thing. You got 13, 14 people in a room from all different walks of financial life trying to navigate fiat money. Fiat money, it's all fake. I mean, you could if the United States goes away, if it heaven forbid the United States is no longer a country, it gets taken over or dominated, you could take every $1, $100, $5 bill in your pocket and it's worth freaking nothing. So they're trying to balance a fiat currency so it doesn't get so out of control that we lose the middle class. We're already at a point where the middle class has shrunk. Okay? Not only has it shrunk, it's also changed. But in order for us to have a better understanding, we have to listen. I mean, it's amazing. Stephen, I like Graham. Graham's a good guy. He's very, very smart. So listen to his reaction to this.
What's up, Graham? It's Guys here, and you absolutely have to pay attention to what just happened. As of a few hours ago, the Federal Reserve has once again decided to pause their rate hikes for the rest of 2023, except this time with a bit of a twist. That's because, unlike literally every single rate hike before us, the Fed is now believed to be completely done raising interest rates, and as a result, the market is pricing in some very unique predictions that are soon about to have an impact on stocks, to real estate, to even how much you get paid in a savings account. So given all the recent changes and today's comments from the Federal Reserve, which is arguably the most important meeting throughout the entire year, let's discuss exactly what's happening, the impact this is about to have on you and your money, and what you could expect throughout 2024. Because...
Okay, so Graham Stephen is full of shit. And I like the guy. Nowhere in the fucking meeting did he say that they are completely done with rate hikes. It is a month by month, meeting by meeting situation. So I do not understand how people can misinterpret this. This is crazy.
It's probably a lot different than you were thinking. Although before we start, as usual, if you appreciate me scrambling to get this video out as soon as possible after the news, it would mean a lot to me if you hit the like button or subscribe. Either one of those helps out the channel tremendously, and as a thank you for doing that, I will do my best to respond to as many of your comments as possible. So thank you guys so much, and also big thank you to Policy Genius for sponsoring today's video, but more on that later. All right, now before...
Yeah, here's money. I'm going to show everybody I'm getting a brand deal. So I put out this video that is not true. Fake information, fake news, which is unusual for Graham, by the way. I want to make sure everybody understands. This is unusual.
Go into the biggest changes about to take place in 2024. When it comes to rate hikes or cuts, one of the single biggest factors to consider is what's going on with inflation. And recently, it's begun to improve. See, on the most basic level, the Fed wants inflation to return back to its 2% target, and then they could slowly begin reducing interest rates so as not to cause our entire economy to turn into a dystopian wasteland of $10 a gallon gas.
Okay, the first thing he finally said, but see, if nobody listened past the minute 30-second mark, they would have never found out that then Graham turns around and says, wait a minute, it has to get down to 2% before they do the rate cuts. Okay, so the reality is, guys, that in order for interest rates to come down, we have to get the entire inflation, this is what they said, under 2% or at 2%. We are still probably a year or two away from getting what the Fed wants under control, which is energy prices and food prices. There's nothing they can do about housing, but there's a lot of pressure they can put on the market for energy. So once again, a bunch of fat cows got rich based on speculation because there'll be a mass sell-off. Let's just look at it from this perspective. The Dow Jones went up like 500 points the other day, okay? I want you guys to look at something. Okay, I'm going to click here. I'm going to go Dow Jones. Okay. So the Dow Jones has gone up 658 points. Now, how much does everybody want to make a bet that that's going to take an absolute dump at the end of the year? Because guys like Warren Buffett, who are highly well educated in how this is going to go, is going to dump his positions in a lot of that type of market. How about a rally? Check this out. The Dow Jones, this is from CNBC, Okay, the Dow Jones Industrial Average closed higher on Thursday as 10-year treasuries tumbled below 4%, and a surprise gain in retail sales gave investors further confidence it would bring a soft economic landing. First of all, guys, retail sales are crap right now. They're absolutely in the tank. What they're looking at is profit, not the actual sales. The 30 stock Dow Jones closed at record high, ending the day up 158 points. But what they didn't tell you is in the morning, there was a big sell-off. It had to rally. So what happened was a bunch of guys bought a bunch of stocks, okay? And then some idiot at a major news corporation picked and choose what they were going to tell people. Oh, rate! 3 times they're going to cut the rate next year. 3 times! And then the people who bought stock a week ago are like, nanny, 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 we're going to sell it. And they made a quick buck, real quick, and sold off yesterday. They sold off this morning. And then rebought it, went on the way down, and made a freaking fortune. So let's wake up, okay? I'm not trying to be mean, guys, but let's wake up and let's get the right information. If we're going to depend on idiots to give us information, we turn into idiots. Get off your couch, stop watching the big corporate media, go on any single website that has video option and listen to the full speech. Just like a politician, right? During elections, they're going to cut bits and pieces of Joe Biden and make Joe Biden look like he's a brain-dead idiot. And they're going to make Trump look like an absolute hardened criminal, felon criminal. That's the way they do things. They can make anybody look like a sexist, misogynistic pig or a racist just by taking certain video clips, 10 and 15-second clips with no context, and ruin someone's life. That's the society we live in today. And I know nobody wants to believe it, but we don't know what's going to happen next year. I know that let's say they did. Let's say they got rates down 0.75%. In the RV world, it affects your payment by $6 per quarter point. So let's say it goes down from an average rate of 8.99 to 8.25. It will affect your payment on average by $18. Let's look at it from a mortgage standpoint. That's a great one. So let's go to a mortgage calculator. This is why I want you guys to pay attention to how pathetic this is, the way they're doing things. So let's do a $300,000 loan. Let's do a fixed interest rate of 7.99 is fine. Okay, 7.99. Okay. So your monthly payment at a 30-year fixed on a $300,000 mortgage without taxes and fees is $2,199. Now, let's lower it to 7.25. It took the payment from $2,199 to $2,047. Did it lower it $500 or $600? No. So it's not going to, interest rates, if they go down next year, 0.75 point means 0.75 point reductions. It will not affect your loan very much. Now, when rates get to the point where they're, let's go 5.99. Okay, now we can talk. Now it lowered the payment $500 on a mortgage. So when rates go from 7.99 down to 5.99, that's not till 2026, according to Powell. That's where I'm trying to get at. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be nasty. I'm not trying to break your heart. I'm trying to make sure you understand what is going on. There's no promise of lowering rates next year. Zero. If anything, they are prepared to raise interest rates again if inflation does not continue to go down the path it is. I know this is going to piss you off. I get it. I totally understand. But go listen to the man. Almost 10 minutes, Jerome Powell said, nowhere in that 10 minutes is, guess what, guys? We got inflation so under control. We're prepared to lower rates. No, it's going to be a meeting by meeting basis. So what does that mean for you? If you want to buy an RV next year, buy an RV. Refinance it in 2026 when rates go down to 5.99 or 6.99. You're going to save more money buying an RV. Let me put it this way. I'm going to leave it at this, okay? If you bought in 2023, this year, when you go to refinance it in 3 years, you got the best deal you were going to get for the next 10 years. If you're listening to this and you bought an RV, you will be in a better position if you bought this year than if you buy in the next 5 years if you're worried about the money. If you're not worried about money and you're only worried about interest rates, hey, everybody has their own mindset on how to deal with purchases. I'm not here to change your mind. I'm here to give you the information. Probably what pisses me off is that nobody listened in the world, and I feel like I'm the only jerk off that actually listened to the whole thing. Breathe, breathe. Oh my God, breathe. If you buy next year, in 2024, which is not that far away, you're not going to be in as good a shape from a price standpoint than you were this year. And if you wait till 2025, then it's really going to go up. So you got one more year, 2024, to save money and to take advantage of dealers losing money. Last year, this is the last year. Because in 2025 and beyond, guys, dealerships are going to eventually have to make money. Otherwise, they're going to go out of business. Camping World is going to have to make money at some point. They can't just keep writing checks to keep people employed. Until next time, have a good one.